But it's an advantage.
Welcome to Extra Time. The conversation has continued regarding the away goal.
Some people don't want to listen.
Stevie's not happy with it. The boys are trying to convey as to why.
We're trying to reason.
We're trying to reason.
Yes, you've got to defend well the second game, but you're actually getting a bonus for good defending.
Huh?
Because you've stopped the opposition getting an away goal. There's your bonus.
But over the two legs, the tie has finished level. That's the only time the away goals rule kicks in. The tie has finished level. So what's wrong with saying, and I can see what the top coaches are saying, they're saying, why should we go out of the competition? We finished level over 3 hours with this team. Why can't this now go to extra time and penalties if necessary to sort it out?
Right.
I don't get what's wrong with that.
No, that's a good argument.
But that's what they're saying.
That's what we've been saying.
Yeah, but I just happen to think there should be some sort of reward for good defending.
Well, there is. You go through if you defend better than the opposition over the 3 hours.
But if you don't let an away goal, that's good defending, and that's where you get your benefit. That's your real bonus.
How about simple sports? How about you score more than the other team and you go on? Simple.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what. There's only going to be 3 or 4 winners then. If it's a level playing field,
it's still 3 or 4 winners.
It's not a level playing field.
Still
Barcelona and all these other teams, it's right up there.
I'm sorry, Real Madrid.
I'll tell you what. Karabakh gets to the quarter-final and pulls Barcelona, right?
Yeah. So you think Karabakh is going to have a chance now? If you get rid of
Karabakh, stop Barcelona scoring against them when they're at home. They deserve a bonus.
Yeah, but they've still got to play them away from home, and they're going to go out because they're probably going to lose 4-0 away.
No, but they can win 1-0 and go through.
But they're not going to, are they?
Oh, well, why did we bother playing the games then?
Okay, all right.
Stevie, why bother?
Stevie, you're saying people or teams should be rewarded for scoring away from home. If you just take a big picture look at this, just big picture, just stay with me for a second. A team goes away playing not even soccer, football. A touchdown should count for 2 now? Huh?
What are you on about?
No.
How's about just keeping it to this?
No.
Listen,
a basketball.
You
play away from home. A 2-pointer becomes a 3-pointer.
A team that goes away from home and scores a goal gets the reward. But the team who's at home who doesn't let any goals in also gets a reward.
Are you saying that the team who've won 1-0 away from home should go through though they've lost the away leg 4-0? Well, that's what you seem to be saying, that the away goal is some kind of golden, wonderful thing that's worth so much more.
A goal is a goal. It's a goal. It's one goal.
Oh, God, right.
It's one goal. It's one goal, Stevie.
We've won him over.
I'm not at all. My argument is...
What is your argument?
My argument, the main problem I have with this change, right, is that defending, there is no bonus for any defending whatsoever. It just doesn't matter.
What do you mean?
I tell you what, we're Barcelona. Don't need to bother defending. We can win 5-4, and then the next leg we can go and win 6-4.
But you still have to win the game.
You still have to win the tie.
You still have to win the game.
Still have to win the tie. The away goal
only kicks in when the tie's
finished level.
I'm talking about defending.
You still have to win the game.
Of course you do. But I'm talking about defending.
You have to defend.
There has to be a bonus.
You have to score more goals than the other teams. How do you prove your superiority if you don't beat a team?
Every single team in the world now doesn't give a monkeys about defending. Forget the away goals rule, right? Nobody cares about defending anymore,
your problem was defending.
That's a bit of another issue.
Reason why we're getting rid of defending.
That's a different argument.
Good debate, and it's another argument. I think I'm not sure it pertains to the away goal.
But there should be a reason for defending.
It's only being...
So your reason for defending well at home is to stop the opposition scoring an away goal, and that's where you get your reward.
Yeah, but then maybe the home teams now are going 0-0.
No.
They're going 0-0 is not a bad result at home.
It should just be straightforward, right across the board.
Okay, exactly. Because the away goal that you're talking about, you're talking about the defending part of it.
It's a very valid argument.
You're talking about the defending part of it, right? Well, it also affects the way that you play offensively at home.
But it gets blown out the window.
No.
I don't want to hear all that nonsense.
No, hold on a second.
I'm just saying defending gets blown out the window. I know exactly what you're saying.
No, 1 second, please. Are you okay? Can we have a conversation?
You've just wasted that 1 second explaining that.
Okay, fantastic. The same way that the away goal is affecting the way that teams are playing defensively at home, right? That they should be rewarded for defending well. That's what you're asking for, correct?
I'm not 5, Ali.
Okay. Well, no, but you're acting like it, so I have to deal with it.
See, there's no need for that sort of part.
You're acting like it, so just listen for a second. It also affects the way that teams at home are playing offensively because they're not taking as many risks going forward because they want to defend. So it's affecting that first leg. It's affecting the way that you play at home offensively. Now you're not taking chances.
So hold on a second. So
outside
outside of Real Madrid and Bayern and Liverpool and City, right? Because these teams, regardless, only play one way, right? Right? So you're telling me that all the other teams have to open up and try and go and score goals all the time?
No. You just you just play the game that you want to play.
Okay, hold on. No, right. So if I'm Karabag and I'm at home to Barcelona and they're two-legged, if I don't let Barcelona score, I get a reward. I've got something to take into the next leg at Barcelona because I never lost a goal.
Okay. Okay, and now you got to go play the second leg.
So you think they should go through then if it's a 1-1 draw at Barcelona at the end of it? They should go through.
Yes, of course they should.
The ties ended 1-1. Both teams scored 1 goal in the 3 hours.
Yeah.
Why is one team going through?
I just happen to think
this was all dates back to the 60s.
I'm using Karabag, for example, right? I think a team like Karabag, who has got absolutely nowhere near the clout of a Barcelona or a Real Madrid or any of these other teams, if they can get that result, that 1-1, with a 0-0 at home and go and score a goal away against a Barcelona, absolutely they deserve to go through.
Thank you very much for all your questions. That's the end of Extra Time. We will be back tomorrow to bring you more action.
I don't think he got it.
Never got it wrong.
What about all the questions that people sent in?
We'll answer them tomorrow, Ian. We've run over because of the 5-year-old thing. Join us there. Are you here with us tomorrow, Ian?
Yeah.
Are you here with us tomorrow, Stevie?
No, thank God.
Is the away goal coming up again tomorrow? I've got a feeling it might.
Yeah, I've got to go to kindergarten in the morning.
You should.
Yeah, I've got to do that.
Bring a cake. Bring a cake.
Don't be on the naughty step again.
He would be.
Paul Pogba started this game. Interesting stuff from him regarding his future, saying there was a lot of talk about a transfer. That's all it was. My future is currently at Manchester United. I still have a contract. I'm playing there at the moment, but who knows what will happen in the next months. He continues, Mourinho and I have a pure coach-player relationship. That's right. One thing I can assure you is I always give 100% no matter who the coach is. I always give everything for United. I cannot say more. This obviously has been picked up by the newspapers. Pogba's United's down. Pogba, I could go. Stevie, why are you putting that face?
Oh, what's he doing? I mean, if there's not enough problems at Manchester United, why as a player and the so-called icon at United, throwing fuel on the fire? Why is he saying that? I mean, seriously. Does he want Mourinho gone? Because that's what it sounds like to me.
Well, his agent certainly does. I mean, Mino Raiola has come out and more or less said Paul Pogba wants a transfer. So somebody's asked Pogba, haven't they, here? And he's tried his best to be diplomatic.
He hasn't been very diplomatic.
I was going to say, looking at it, you're right, Dan, you're right. He hasn't been that diplomatic. He's more or less saying between the lines, well, I'll give everything for Manchester United as long as I'm there. Brackets, and this is the bit that's unseen, but I think everybody knows I'd quite like to play for Barcelona.
And Paolo, this seems to be it, isn't it? You don't really have to read in between the lines that much to realise that, you know, his heart seems to be elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is the unfortunate part of contracting Mino Raiola players. Mino Raiola makes his money by his players moving around a lot. And I think that the relationship between him and Mourinho has always seemed like a front one. Although, by the way, Raiola has also brought a number of other players to the club who also haven't been around for so long. Ibrahimovic, Mkhitaryan, I believe he was also had a hand in Lukaku coming there as well. So there is a love-hate thing going on there, but certainly it's hard to look at this and not think that he's at least saying a few things in his client's ear.
Unless Paul Pogba doesn't know how to deal with the media, which I think it's ridiculous to think that way because he's a guy that has been in front of a microphone for a while now. It's very simple. You're going to be asked a question because that's what the media does. And then you just sit there and say, I'm a Manchester United player. I love to be a Manchester United player. I'm going to concentrate on this season and we're going to work towards the future trying to get better. That's all you do.
Yeah.
That's all you say. And you don't have to say anything else. Once you light up this fire, then it becomes a story. And why does it become a story? It's because there seems to be a whole lot of things going on that are pulling Paul Pogba away from Manchester United rather than focusing on being the best player you can be for the club. And that should be his responsibility. That should be his main focus.
But I don't doubt, that he's right. I think he will be giving everything for Manchester United.
Of course he should.
Yeah, of course he should. Yeah, if he's paid
job.
big money, that's his job. But I think that's true, and he is.
We've seen this obviously from Gareth Bale, in particular in the Euros, but impressive stuff from the Real Madrid stuff.
Gareth Bale, impressive for Wales, what's new?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's just absolutely frightening. Every single time he pulls that jersey on, he does something. And not only does he personally do something, but he seems to light a fire under the rest of the Welsh players as well. So I think he's just continuing this particular season with Wales and Real Madrid because he's had such a good start. So it's not really a shock. Gareth Wales excels in a Wales jersey, is it?
We've all known players in the present and in the past that they're great club players. And then they go to the national team and that jersey gets real tight. Tied to the point that they can't perform. Tied to the point that now they're nowhere near the players that we see week in and week out with their clubs. For Gareth Bale, not only is he now being productive for Real Madrid, and I think the absence of Cristiano Ronaldo has to do with that because there's a freedom about him in the way that he's playing with Real Madrid that wasn't there before. You put him in Wales and it's almost as if, yep, that's it. A big man is on campus and we're here and I'm here to stay and you're all going to come with me on this ride because I can take you places. For that, that's special. And to do it at the national team level makes it even more special.
He couldn't get them to the World Cup, though. That was the pity after their fantastic run in the European Championships. He was right at the heart of that. He loves playing for Wales. He loves playing for Wales, I think, more than anything. And it shows, I think, every time he goes out there.
So that victory puts Wales top of their group. Big questions about Ireland going forward as well. Someone has seen the back of Martin O'Neill and Roy Keane. Next up, it's Denmark against Wales on September 9th. The Roberto Mancini era as the new coach of Italy starts tomorrow as they take on Poland in the opening game of their UEFA Nations League. Paolo is with us. Paolo, you look at this. How much pressure, how big is this opening game for him?
I don't know if I'd say there's huge pressure. It's certainly a big point of interest right now for everyone looking to see how Italy are going to respond to not playing in the World Cup over the summer. Mancini has already sort of been on the warpath a little bit in the last few days. He's talked about how the lack of opportunities being given to young Italian players, and honestly, he's got some validity in that. I think when you look at his options in midfield, there's only 3 players really out of the midfielders, and you're looking at Jorginho obviously, but then Barella and Benassi, the only 3 who are actually starting regularly for their club sides. He's had to bring in guys like Pellegrini, who have played 45 minutes so far for Roma this season. Cristante's barely played more than 90 minutes for Roma this season. It is it is a talent pool for Italy that is a lot less deep than it used to be, and sort of compounded, I guess, by the retirements of big names like Daniele De Rossi. So it's an opportunity for renewal, it's an opportunity to start over, but the options aren't as extensive, certainly, as have been available to some of his predecessors.
Balotelli, meanwhile, is back. Paolo, what can we expect?
Well, he's already been playing for Mancini in friendlies. He's obviously a guy that everyone's going to be looking at. We know he's been scoring goals for Nice, and we know that Mancini has a lot of faith in him. Mancini is being very sort of meritocratic about the captain's armband. He says that it's going to stick with whoever's the senior player on the pitch, whoever's got the most caps. Now, that'll be Giorgio Chiellini in this game against Poland. But when Chiellini was absent over the summer, there was actually a possibility that it could be Balotelli. Balotelli was one of the most capped players there. It didn't end up being him, but he's got as much chance as anyone, according to Mancini, and that gives you some indication of what the manager thinks of him. Look, everyone in Italy would love him to be the same Mancini that we saw beating Germany almost single-handedly in the semi-finals of a European Championship. It's been a while since he's been that player, but he has been scoring goals regularly in France. He has been playing regularly in France. He has been a productive player, and I think that's what probably we should hope for him and hope from him in this game against Poland.
They won't be broken-hearted. They've got a goalless draw with the world champions. They could even argue, well, it's a start. But I think with Germany that it's gone stale. I think maybe that Jogi Löw should have gone. He's been a great coach. He won the World Cup. But there's always a time when it needs freshening up. And you look at that squad and the coach now, and it does feel a bit stale. And you wonder where Germany are going just at the moment. They've lost 4 times this year.
To your point, Ian, sorry. We go back to Spain 2014. They get bounced out of the World Cup in the group stage, and they hang on to Vicente del Bosque onto the Euros, and that didn't quite work out. It's something to learn from. Just because it went right for you for a long time, it doesn't mean that this guy continues to have the magic touch. At some point, you have to have a new voice simply because it allows that fresh start that we're talking about. This same group of players are playing for the same guy. And so whatever frustrations were back then, they still remain. Somewhere simmering underneath it all is still the frustration of whatever it was. So when Leroy Sané gets called in by Yogi Löw, it's like, no, bro, you left me out. Right. So that still hangs around. If you want a fresh start, then you have to have a new manager in place.
Yeah, we saw the exact same Germany that we saw in the World Cup. And to change it, there has to be changes. And that means not only the coach, but the player personnel as well. Everybody seems to be in this horrible little groove. Yeah. And they're just there. I mean, you talk about a team that was obvious and slow, and I mean France were on the cigars at one stage because there's just no way that they were going to be broken down. In fact, we're talking about set pieces where Germany looked the most dangerous. We normally say that about teams like Sweden and Norway, not Germany, not the world champions. So this thing needs an overhaul, and it has to come soon because nothing's changing on the field unless changes are made.